Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. Oh, my chair is rolling back. In this video lesson, you are going to learn how to mix up your own version of color from something that's pre-existing. So although these are from colors that I have, we're just going to pretend that they're swatches. So you're going to have to take the knowledge you have up to now to create these. You're going to have to learn how to read color. Where does it sit in the color wheel? Is it duller or brighter? Is it lighter or darker? Is it more of one way or more of another way on the color wheel? So you're going to ask yourself these questions when creating this. And this exercise you can apply to a painting, to whatever. You can even go further and apply it to other aspects of your life. Like for me, when I create, I do wood turning, and I'm turning what are called hybrid pens, which are pens made of wood and resin. I use my color mixing knowledge to color mix the pigments to put in the resin. And same thing for my resin jewelry. I use my color mixing knowledge to create the pigments. That way, although I have like 300 pigments, it's the actual powder. I don't use nearly all of them. They came in a kit, but I can take I have a limited palette of my pigments and I can create my mixes that way. So if you're a baker, you can use your color mixing knowledge to color mix icing. If you're, a fabric designer, if you do sewing, you can dye fabrics using certain dyes with your color mixing knowledge. So you can apply this to a whole bunch of other things. And I just got paint everywhere. Oh, I tell you, when I'm working with phthalo colors, I get it everywhere. Okay, anyways, this isn't going to matter too much. So, get this right here. So we're going to mix up these colors, and this lesson can go on forever and ever, but I'm going to pick these because this is a chart that I already did. So I'm going to take these colors here. This one's going to be one mix, and I'm going to show you how to mix that. And I also have down here, we're also going to make up something that's very popular, a Payne's Gray. So the colors that I have here, I've got phthalo green yellow, phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, carbon black, and white. And, lo and behold, I know what's in these paints, which is why I pulled out these colors. But really, the colors with blue can only go one way. You can either go more green or more yellow. And the lesson we did before, I showed a variety. Let me just pull out the palette or the chart. How to shift on the color wheel. Just by using 2 reds and 2 yellows. And then this one here, how to brighten up or dull blue, just by using the 2 reds, the 2 yellows, and then orange, and got all these colors. So you're going to easily be able to create mixes to color match if you have a limited palette. Keeping in mind, okay, one thing you have to make sure, if we were to, let's say, take ultramarine blue and try to color mix that, you will never get an exact match to this because this is a single pigment. You will never be able to match this. Same thing with phthalo blue. You will never be able to match that. Also, if you've got, let's say I take this package here and I want to match this red. I'll be able to get something close, but I will never be able to match it 100%. Why? Because printers use CMYK color mixes, and digital technology uses RGB, and the technologies are different, whereas paints, we have the paints, and we don't know what's in this, so we don't know the pigments. There's too many unanswered questions, but we can get something close. So that's what you're going for, to get something close. Not an exact match, because it's never going to happen. So get that out of your head right now. We're not going for perfection. We're getting something close. And in the small amounts, you'll also have to come to a point where you will never get something that even matches. It's just the colors are so out there that it'll be hard. And where those colors are hard is neon colors. Neon colors are so hard because there's other stuff in there to make it neon. Okay? So let's go with Sapphire Blue. So Sapphire Blue is this dull blue, really, really pretty blue. This is good for night scenes as well. And it's got PB15, PB29, and PW6. Well, phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, and white. I was talking a while ago thinking, what happens if you took, equal parts of this? Would you get a neutral blue? This would be a good time to try that exercise. But it's really hard to try that exercise because phthalo blue is so much more powerful than ultramarine blue. If we take equal parts and mix those together, let's see what we get. And we're going to take right on face value. We're going to have that. And let's add some white to that. See how different that is? The phthalo blue is so powerful. So this is where you ask yourself the question, okay? Well, if we're trying to match to this here, is it lighter or darker? If I squint my eyes, it's a little bit lighter, just a smidgen. That's because of the white, okay? So lighter or darker is a little bit light, but you have to squint your eyes for that. Is it brighter or duller? It is way brighter, way brighter. But we know that there are only two pigments in this, phthalo blue and ultramarine blue. There's only those two. Well, the only thing we can add now is, because we know it's so bright, the only thing we can add is ultramarine blue. That's all we can add. If we didn't know what was in it, honestly, you know what I would add? I would either try an orange or add a bit of black. That's what I would try. So let's add a bit more ultramarine blue. Add a bit more white. It's not going the right way. Well, what if we add a bit more phthalo blue? Well, I don't understand. There's only two pigments in this, PB15 and PB29. I wonder if there's a misprint on the label. There's got to be a misprint. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense, does it? If we go here and add more blue, we get that. I mean, it is really blue. Then if we turn around here and add more ultramarine blue, you get this. You do not get that dull color. So I'm going to think there's a misprint on the label. I'm going to have to, I can go to Decor and I can ask them. I'm not going to worry about it because it's not a color I use, but, well, what if we don't know what's in the paint? Let's try to do something with it. Well, if I were to take a little bit of black and go in between. Would you look at that? Just by taking a little bit of black. It's still a little bright. The value is not too bad. When I add the white to it, see the true underlying color, it's still a little bit bright. Let's dull it down a little bit more. We're getting there. A little bit more. Yeah, there we go. So although it is valuable knowing what's in the paints, being able to understand, to use your eyes to read the color. I'm looking at this now. It looks a little bit green. I can go in with a little bit more ultramarine blue. A little bit more black. Well, I think I may have added a little bit too much black in there. There we go. So I think I've got that pretty close. When it dries down, it's going to be a little bit, it's going to be a little bit darker, so we have to add a little bit more white to it. There we go. Okay, but definitely this is something that leans a bit more towards violet. So yeah, okay, well, so that's a happy accident. Well, the label obviously is something is not right there. So why it's so important to learn how to read color. And I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm trying to think, I guess I've never really tried to mix Sapphire Blue before. Do I still have it? Oh, where did it go? PB15, PB29, PW6. Nothing else. So I wonder if it's a misprint. Doesn't matter. aquamarine. This is a really pretty color. So it says in the bottle is PG7, PB15. Where's my other charts? I've already proven that we can get a mix like this with Phthalo Blue and Hansa Yellow Medium, right there. We can even get a mix similar to that with Phthalo Blue and Hansa Yellow Light. Is there anything in here? No. So, although this color is PG7, PB15, I can get it with these two as well. And of course I didn't put that on the palette. Oh, stay there. That's going to fall. So let's see. If we take Phthalo Green and Phthalo Blue, face value. I like doing this part just to see the transparency of the paint before adding the white. Now we add the white. Ooh, way too much blue. It's way too blue. So we need to add more green to it. Bit more green. There we go. But take a look at the video. This is the video on how to brighten up or dull blue. And fast forward to the section for taking Phthalo Blue with Hansa Yellow Medium and Phthalo Blue with Hansa Yellow Light. I mean, the colors work well. So if you don't have a green, just use these ones to create a aquamarine type of color. Now, Cerulean Blue. So this is a color that I don't use very often because I prefer the mix to it. So Cerulean Blue is a single pigment. With the Decor Media Fluid Acrylics, it's semi-transparent, where the Decor Traditions, it's opaque. And it's not really opaque, it's still semi-transparent. What I like to do is I like to mix my own, and what I go in reverse this time. I don't start with blue, I start with white. So I take white, then to the white, with a dirty brush, I add a little bit of Phthalo Blue, and then add a speck of Phthalo Green. And this is my version of Cerulean Blue, which is opaque, which is what it's supposed to be. That's my version. Now with that, I can shift it a little bit more. So I can add it, so depending on a water scene that I'm painting, I can shift it with a little bit more Phthalo Blue. Which I think is more closer to the Traditions one, but this is opaque, which is what it's supposed to be like. You know, or I can shift it with more green. So it's up to you how. But Cerulean Blue, keep in mind, depending on the brand that you buy, Cerulean Blue is one of the pricier pigments if you're using the pure Cerulean Blue. But it's just as easy to make it with Phthalo Blue, with or without Phthalo Green and white. And Phthalo Blue is a pigment that's lower on the scale of price. And it'll go far. You see, you don't have to use a lot of Phthalo Blue to make anything. So another color that's very, very popular is Prussian Blue hue. Now, Prussian Blue is, you know, typically made with a mix. And there's various recipes to make this. You can take it with Phthalo Blue with black. And then you can take it with Phthalo Blue with a little bit of ultramarine blue and black. It all depends on how you want to make it. Well, we already did it this way with the Sapphire Blue. We already took it with Phthalo Blue. And the way that I did it was Phthalo Blue with black. And I came up with something like this. Then this has white. So if we take Phthalo Blue and black, I'm going to start off with equal parts. See what I get. Start off with equal parts. Face value, it looks like black. But you got to add white to see the true underlying color. Sparkly. Oh, let's go down a little bit more. There we go. A bit more white. I'm just now going to look for something like this because to analyze the colors out of this dark, it's too hard. Just add the white so you can see the true underlying color. Look at that, and yeah, I'm bang on. I'm bang on with that. So roughly equal parts of phthalo blue and a carbon black. Then when we get to analyzing the color black, that's that one is going to be a little bit more difficult because I really only work with carbon black. But there's bone black, ivory black, Mars black, so many different blacks because some of them shift more towards brown or warmer, and some shift more towards blue. I don't worry about black because I make up my own using my limited palette. I rarely use the actual tube black except when I need pure black that's opaque, similar, like if I want to work like the eye of a bird or something, where the mixes that I make are made with transparent paints. So sometimes working with this, which is opaque, is a better choice. Now the blue gray is made with, again, phthalo blue black, but they've added white to it. When looking at this, okay, so this has the same pigments. The only difference is this has white in it. But look at the difference. So what you're looking at here is the same mix, but more black. So I'll just add it right into this one here. It's the same mix, but just more black. Is that pretty close? And then add white. See, when you have a limited palette, it makes it so much easier to mix the colors, to match them up. It makes it so much easier. Now, if we were to turn around and not know what was in the paint, like this one here, thinking, yeah, because it was strong phthalo blue with ultramarine blue, and adding black. Then this one here, I would have taken phthalo blue with Hansa yellow light or Hansa yellow medium to get that. I wouldn't have gone straight to a green, although the green is easier. Cerulean blue, I already know I take phthalo blue with a speck of phthalo green, that's optional, and then add white. Prussian blue hue, I automatically, if I have to make up a Prussian blue hue, I automatically take phthalo blue with black. And then if I want to get a blue gray, I just take my mix of Prussian blue hue and I just add more black and white to it. Those are easy mixes. But if you turn around and let's say you don't have black out of a tube. Let's say if we want to make let's say we want to make Prussian blue hue, but we don't have black. What can we do? Well, now I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's get some alizarin crimson. We make a chromatic black. I'm getting ahead of myself here. We haven't reached this lesson yet. We're going to make a chromatic black, which is black with color. And just to show you, now typically I use phthalo green blue for this. Phthalo green yellow is fine, but the phthalo green blue is a little bit nicer because it stays. It's the green that leans towards blue, and then the alizarin crimson is a red that leans towards violet, so it's still on the blue side of the color wheel. When you're working with a chromatic black, you have to look at opposites on the color wheel. Okay, so typically you can take ultramarine blue, then you can use, let's say, a burnt sienna, one of the neutrals, a burnt sienna, raw umber, burnt umber, but I like using green and crimson. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I want to replicate this, typically because I don't use black. So I'm going to take alizarin crimson with phthalo green, and face value, it looks black. But the problem is that we wouldn't typically use it like this. We would, mix it with something else. And I add white to it, and I get something like this. That son of a gun. Look at that. I made the perfect chromatic black. Rarely does this happen on the first shot. Oh my God. Okay, I didn't really plan that. Well, I did it live, you saw. So now if I wanted to make that more blue, so if I wanted to make it more like this, what would I do? Now I've got my black. Let's add a bit of blue to it. Let's add a little bit more of our Chromatic Black. It's a little bit dark, so we ask our question, lighter, darker, brighter, duller. And where does it sit in the color wheel? We add a little bit more white to that. There we go. How's that? Between this one and this one. Yeah, I'm kind of like, I could probably even go a little bit more blue on that. Whoops, I think that's a bit much. I got a little bit frisky there. A little bit frisky. There we go. Not too shabby. So you see, you don't have to have, like, especially when it comes to black, you can make up your own black. Again, when we get to that lesson, it'll make more sense. But we've already got the colors in our limited palette. Okay, Gisele, what if I don't have phthalo green? I actually have the wrong color here. This would be phthalo green blue, not phthalo green yellow. Yeah, it's supposed to be this one here. Well, what if I don't have green? Well, take yellow. Take phthalo blue and yellow to get your green, and then it's going to be adding the alizarin crimson in there. So you're going to take phthalo blue, Hansa yellow light, and alizarin crimson, or phthalo blue, Hansa yellow medium, and alizarin crimson, to see if you can replicate this. Okay, so see how many combinations you can get of all these mixes. So that's going to be your exercise. Is you can use my chart to try to match these colors, or even better yet, is to randomly pick 5 colors, 5 blues out of your stash that don't have pigment numbers on them. Lay them out and then try with your limited palette now to try to color match as close as possible. Do not expect perfection because you will not get it. Okay. And if you only have, let's say you've done this course with me many, many times, because I change it up every year a little bit. If you already have the limited palette, you don't have anything else, then I want you to color match to this. Or go into a magazine or go online, and that's what you do. You go into Pinterest or Google and search blue paintings. Then pull up 5 or 6 different blue paintings. Look at them, the ones that have more of a different variety of blue. And then pick 1 or 2 of those and then color match on those. That'll give you a good idea. But keep in mind, what you see on your digital device is not what you're going to see in real life, because digital devices calibrate colors differently than what we see in real life. Look around your home for stuff that's blue. Do that. I've got, let's see if I can move this. Color match to a pot. That you've got. Just look around the house and color match to something you already have on hand. All right, so that's going to be your homework assignment. And if you're depending on where you're watching this, if you're watching this on YouTube, click the 2 links, one of the 2 links below in the description to go over to the community or onto Facebook. Post your pictures there with any comments or questions. If you have general questions that aren't related to an actual color chart, I'll answer them on any of the platforms. But if you have a question related to specifically a chart that you made, I will not be answering that on YouTube. You must go over to the community so you can post a picture of what you've done. YouTube doesn't allow pictures, so I can't help you there. Alrighty, so I'm going to clean up and I'm going to prepare. Oh, we have 2 new challenges coming up. I'm going to prepare to film 2 challenge videos. And until I see you in those lessons, stay inspired.